Hello, my name is David Eberl, and I'm doing a presentation on procrastination. Why we do it, why is it prevalent, and why do millions of college students do it? Procrastination is the active effort to push off a hard or complex task of high priority for a less and more fun task. So let's say you're given a project that's due at the end of the month for a physics class. You have to design an experiment, do that experiment, and then present it. So you have a month to do it. The procrastinator is like, oh, I got plenty of time to do this. A week goes by, yeah, still got plenty of time. Another week goes by, yeah, I guess I got more time to push it off. Now you got a week left, and procrastinator is thinking, I really should get started on that. And then they get to only a couple days before it is due. This is where the procrastinators are diverged into two different groups. The two types of procrastination are active, deliberate postponement of a task or assignment, knowing that under time pressure the student can complete the task to satisfactory results. So you got a fairly confident student. He's an A student in high school and is breezing through stuff like many high school students who that have A pluses. They breeze through high school pretty easily. I know I did. I had A average in a lot of classes, and I tended to push off a lot of projects and homeworks until the very last minute, knowing that I could get the job done within the time crunch. This is an example of an active procrastinator because they have the confidence to complete the task within the time limit allotted. Now, a passive procrastinator has the inability to complete a task in a timely manner because of their inability to manage the time. The difference between a passive and active procrastinator is a passive procrastinator can't initially get started. So, for example, you have a student who has a project, they're down to the last couple days, and they can't start it. They're it's like a writer trying to write that essay to get that first word on the page. It's really hard to do, and they pass it on to another day. That's passive procrastinators are more detrimental to themselves because they are the ones that get the unsatisfactory grades. They become depressed because they cannot get the project done or get the assignment done or get the task done within the allotted time. Now, why do we procrastinate? Why do we push things off to the last second? Why do we push off anything to the last second? Why don't we get it done when we're first assigned to it? Most scientists and psychologists have agreed that procrastination is detrimental to many students in college and in high school. However, not all of the experiments and studies that were done say that it is so. Some literature suggests that some students actually perform better when they procrastinate, stating that they work better under pressure. It comes down to that flight or fight response. The flight response tends to go towards the passives, like, oh, I guess I'm going to push it off another day. Maybe I'm not going to get it done. Oh, this sucks. That's a passive procrastinator. An active procrastinator will go, yeah, I'm going to get this done right now. I only have a day to do it. Let's get this done right now. Woo! Let's get this done. And they'll go through it, and they'll get it done to their satisfaction. And for the most part, it'll satisfy the teacher or the professor that assigned it. Another thing that points out procrastination is the idea of flow. Flow can be described as the total attention to the task at hand. If you have a high amount of flow, that means their student has a lot of the attention on hand. Maybe they might check Facebook every now and again, but it's not interrupting their work and they're getting it done. A low flow means that students are becoming more distracted from the task. Again, another perfect example is checking your Facebook or any social media for that matter. A high association of flow is generally put more towards active procrastination because they get into the flow that allows them to get their work done correctly and within the time crunch. Passive procrastinators, they will find excuses or they'll find ways to get around the project at hand. Even if they did start it, they're going to look for excuses to get around it. One example is a paper, 1,000-word paper that is due the next day and you've had 2 weeks to write it. You have 1,000 words to type. The active procrastinator will just run through those 1,000 words, and when they look back at it, they'll say, yes, I did a good job. The passive procrastinator will go and write 50 words, check Facebook. Write another 75 words, check Tumblr. Write another 50 words, check Facebook again. Oh, maybe I got a new notification. Write another 100 words. I'm hungry. Let's go get some food. We'll shut down, go get some food. Come back. Oh, it's getting kind of late. I should probably take a shower. Takes a shower. Comes back. Writes another 150 words, and you still have more than 500 words to write. It's getting pretty late. You're getting pretty tired. Might as well go to bed and hand in what I got tomorrow. That is the difference between a passive procrastinator with high flow and a passive procrastinator with low flow. So why do we procrastinate in the first place? People procrastinate because the problem or task at hand is hard and or requires critical thinking. If I'm doing a maniacal task, and it doesn't take a lot of effort, doesn't take a lot of time, I'll get it done right away. Perfect example is taking out the trash. Tie up a bag, throw it in the dumpster, and you're done. That's a simple task. Don't have to put it off till another time. Now you have to work on a project. You got to think about it. You got to do some research. You got to put something together. You got to present it. And you're going to initially want to push it off because it's not due now and it's not due for a while. So why would I put in my time and effort now when I can do something that's maniacal or easy right now for something that's hard? So they'll push it off, do the task that's easy, or do something that's fun. Another major component of procrastination is the ability to self-regulate. Now, we're not talking about going to the bathroom here. We're talking about being able to regulate your own actions through your mind. Self-regulation is the ability to get work done in a timely manner. So people that don't procrastinate, which everyone procrastinates at one time or another, but those that generally do not procrastinate on school assignments or school projects allot time during the time span that you have and will get the project done over that time instead of saving the whole project for the very end. Those people have a higher self-regulation and have a stronger will to get the tasks done instead of pushing them off till later. Having a lower self-regulatory brain leads to procrastination and could lead to the inability to manage time, depending on whether you have high or low flow. If you have high self-regulation, you generally have high regulation. If you have low regulation, you generally have low flow. And if you have about medium regulation, medium flow, you're getting stuff done, but you're not getting it done in a timely manner. You're kind of pushing it off, but you're not really pushing it off. It's like you're getting big chunks done at a time. Compared to the low flow, low regulation, those people have poor time management skills and they are easily distracted. Versus high regulation, high flow, they can get the project essentially perfect regulation, perfect flow. You're getting the project done ASAP and it's done within one frame of work. It's not spread over the entire time. It's getting it done, and it's getting it done right the first time. Now we actually get to the article. Now that I've gone over procrastination and the 4 components that cause procrastination or lead to the different types of procrastination, we get to the actual article. The relationship of flow and self-regulated learning to active procrastination. Now this is generally aimed towards college students, as the study was done in Korea with 278 Korean college students and a 1-to-3 ratio of men to women. The goal of the experiment was to test the students by giving them an instrument to learn and compare their results at the end of the experiment with some tests that gave ranged answers to certain questions, like, oh, not at all or at all. It's one of those questionnaires that didn't ask for specifics, it just asked for a range. The conclusion of the study was that those who actively procrastinated experienced flow and generally had higher grades than those that didn't procrastinate. To put this into context, students were given an instrument and they were supposed to learn it. Those that learned at an even pace across the study did generally well, but those that procrastinated generally did a little bit better. It was significant, but not as much as what the researchers were hoping for. The study also helped differentiate between passive and active procrastination by looking at the effort factor. Many studies that were done beforehand didn't look at the effort factor, and students that actively procrastinated generally had a higher effort level, while students who passively procrastinated had a lower level of effort. So, what is the level of effort? Level of effort is the how much work you put in to your assignment. Some students were able to have a high level of effort, generally had a higher flow, and generally were more regulated in their time. The study was a good study, but there was one major flaw reading over it that concerned me a little bit, was that the 4 major categories that they were measuring, active procrastination, flow, self-regulated learning, and academic achievement, they were recorded and were self-reported by the students. So there wasn't a single experimenter looking over each student and watching them procrastinate. Essentially, the students were given tests at the end of the experiment and were told to record how they felt, how they procrastinated, and how they felt their time was spent. Now, after the results were tabulated, it was definitive that procrastination, at least active procrastination, generally had a little better grade than those that didn't really procrastinate. Passive procrastinators, as was expected, didn't do as well. They had lower grades and they had lower esteem. They had generally lower across the board than active and non-procrastinators. One way that I found that the test could be fixed or at least enhanced was, instead of using the self-reported stats, those can be fudged, those can be really, students might not be truthful on those, and it could be detrimental to the experiment overall. Instead, instead of using self-reported stats, use scales. An experiment could be designed around a project given to the student and simulate a typical schedule of a college student, but give the project different time restraints. Essentially, give them different amount of times to do the same project and look at the types of procrastination that occur. Another statistic that should have been fixed is the fact that it was a 1-to-3 ratio of men to women. That was kind of a surprising statistic, although it was done at a women's university, so I guess that's not as bad, but it should be done with a 1-to-1 ratio. Other than that, it was a really good experiment, And I hope you enjoyed this presentation because my time is done.